This year's road trip started in Dunedin, and across 2 weeks I travelled 3,000 kilometres from south to north. I started out in Otago and moved through to Southland in the opening days, and I ventured to Nightcaps, an endearingly named village on the western side of Southland. There I met Romy Hunt, who's a long-time coal miner, now retired, but he's lived in Nightcaps for all of his life, all 73 years of his life. He talked to me about the beauty of living in a town with no traffic lights and very few people. They are noticing an influx of Aucklanders and other out-of-towners. Attracted by the house prices, you can still get a house there for between $300,000 and $400,000. That theme of outsiders moving in was a common one over the 2 weeks. I visited lots of towns and small villages that were seeing an influx of people from other regions and especially big cities. I also visited Gore Bay, just north of Christchurch. That has the honour of being New Zealand's smallest village or town by size of permanent population, just 10 people. In Gore Bay I met Raewyn Hill. She loves the place. She's been there 5 years, owning her own home on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. We had a great chat. I also visited Whangarei on the east coast. I wasn't due to visit there, but I made a diversion following the death of one of New Zealand's most esteemed filmmakers, John Barnett. John was responsible for Whale Rider, and Whale Rider was filmed in Whangarei on the east coast in 2001. The locals welcomed me in with open arms once I managed to find some. It's a very remote and peaceful community and very few people around. But I learned the story of what unfolded when Whale Rider did come to town and the happy memories that still exist for those living there. This year's road trip featured lots of successful New Zealand businesses, small, medium and large. I spoke to Pic Pico of Pic's Peanut Butter fame. He was receiving a pedicure when I spoke to him, but he dropped a bombshell halfway through the interview when he revealed that he'd sold 51% of his shares to a private Australian firm. The future is looking very bright for the Nelson-based business. I also stopped at a famous State Highway 1 food truck just north of Kaikoura. Nin's Bin's been around since 1977, since Ron Clark started it. The third generation of the family is now behind the counter, and the food truck has been through about 3 or 4 incarnations over the last 4 decades. It's well worth a stop. The seafood is fresh and beautiful. Scapegrace is another great successful New Zealand business story. From modest beginnings, opening in a small office in Auckland, they now have a $30 million distillery on the shores of Lake Dunstan. I spoke to Daniel McLaughlin about the progress of the company and just where it's heading to in the future. Next year that distillery will become a destination in its own right as it opens to the public. There were so many wonderful people that I met along the way. I'll never forget sitting down with Amanda McLaren. She's the only child of Kiwi motorsport legend Bruce McLaren, a name synonymous of course with Formula One supremacy. The McLaren cars at the moment and drivers are dominating the F1 season, and that should continue into next year and beyond as well. Amanda was only 4 when her father was killed in 1970 and has no memory of him directly, but she does have a catalogue of incredible black and white images of him as a dad. And she's determined as a trustee of the Bruce McLaren Trust to continue his wonderful legacy by inspiring future generations of New Zealanders. So it was a wonderful 2 weeks on the road. I met lots of wonderful people and visited some awesome towns and villages along the way. I finished in Auckland on Saturday, but you can catch up with all the stories from the road trip on nzherald.co.nz, and don't miss the accompanying 9 questions columns that ran each day. We featured 13 notable New Zealanders across the 2 weeks.